It's recording. Hey, what is up, guys? Today I'm going to be talking about a movie that just came out recently, directed by Jon Favreau, called The Lion King. And in case you guys are wondering, yes, it's a remake. And yes, that movie came out a long time ago, and it was already perfected at that time. So, what could they possibly have done to this movie to improve upon the original? Spoilers, nothing, absolutely nothing. Let's get into it. Well, actually, before we get into it, I actually wanted to talk about something very special that came in the mail recently. It is a, well, let me just show it to you guys. This is called the Hero's Journal. It's a journal that you can put your daily goals or even your yearly goals or whatever amount of goals that you have. You know what? You should just go to their website because I am doing a terrible job of describing what it is. But for me and for myself, I have a lot of goals that I want to set for myself, either financially or my weight. Let's address the elephant in the room. The thing that I wanted to talk about is this little journal here that is actually not so little. I got to see the earlier version. It was a lot thinner, but I was surprised and very, very happy to see that it's a thick boy, just like myself. So go check it out. Like I said, link below, and yeah, throw your money at it because it's really cool. So yeah, anyways, let's get into the Lion King 2019 film by Jon Favreau. If you guys didn't watch my Lion King trailer reaction video, then you might know that I had some early kind of thoughts of the movie, and they weren't exactly positive. Oh no, that was Scar. Cool. Timon and Pumbaa. Alright, cool. Alright, just showing all the iconic shots that are being remade. Alright, that's Beyonce. Let's be honest, I was kind of I thought nothing of it. I love the original movie. It's not my favorite Disney movie. I think Aladdin still holds that bar for being the best Disney movie from my childhood, personally. But The Lion King, for myself, is definitely up there in the top 5. But yeah, seeing this movie done in a live-action version, I really thought it was unnecessary. And so my thoughts going into this movie was, hey, let's just be open-minded. I've been surprised before. I actually really did like the Aladdin remake. I thought they added some new elements to it, and they added new character beats and things like that that made the characters that were kind of in the background more interesting. So yeah, who knows what a director can do to a story. Maybe he can change it, and maybe he can add some things that will give me a new perspective on it. So did this movie do that? Absolutely not. It flat out did not do that. And I can't be disappointed because overall, if you take the best elements of a fantastic movie already and you update it, you're gonna get a really nice looking version of something you've already had before. So what I'm saying is you can't change something that's perfect. What you can do is make it look prettier. And yes, this movie is extremely pretty. The voice work in it is excellent. I do have some issues with Donald Glover as the voice actor for myself, but that's only because I feel like he's introduced later into the movie and you kind of have to adjust to the fact that this is a completely different voice actor from the little Simba that we kind of have been growing up with throughout this movie. But anyways, that's just a minor little thing. But yeah, the voice work in this is excellent. Obviously, they bring back James Earl Jones to reprise his role as Mufasa. And man, that guy's voice is golden. Golden standard. If you don't know, he voices Darth Vader as well. And the guy is a legend. So, of course, he's excellent in this movie. But the thing about this movie is, besides all the excellent voice work and besides, them making this movie prettier, it's beautiful. Don't get me wrong. It's a beautiful looking movie. There are times when I am so sucked in by how realistic it looks that it feels like I'm watching a nature documentary. But the thing is, I didn't come to watch a nature documentary. And if I did come to watch a nature documentary, I would watch a nature documentary. But this movie just feels so realistic, and that can be both a good thing and a bad thing. And it feels like they use Lion King as a platform to kind of stretch that technology to be like, we can make you believe that a lion can talk. And you didn't need to convince me about that. It seems like such an unnecessary thing to prove. But, here it is. And all I can say is it looks great, but it just is missing something, and I'll get into what those things are. So let's start with the running time for this movie. So the Lion King remake, I think, is around close to 2 hours, and then the original 1994 movie is around 1 hour and 29 minutes. But for some reason, this movie feels way more rushed, but it has the exact same story beats, the same exact dialogue, maybe they added a few more sentences here and there, and I feel like Seth Rogen and what's his name? Billy Eichner. I feel like Billy Eichner and Seth Rogen, they definitely added some padding to the runtime for this movie, but not like 30 minutes. So I don't know what kind of went wrong here, but a lot of the things about the original movie, like let's say Simba and Nala being reintroduced to each other, and let's say the turn from Scar doing, it's not a spoiler. Scar kills Mufasa, and all of that felt really rushed. It felt like they were just trying to hit the beats from the original movie, and they were trying to move on so that they could do those sweeping shots of the Serengeti, and it just felt really hollow. And I felt like these were just lines being run by all of these voice actors just so that they could get their lines read and then just move on. And there was no time in between the lines of dialogue for it to kind of soak in. Like, I think this other reviewer kind of mentioned how he was watching that scene between Nala and Simba being reunited, and it's just so rushed. Like, it feels like it's trying to just get it out of the way and be like, oh, okay, I'm back. Simba, you're not dead. Blah, blah, blah. And it just brushes over that like it's nothing. And that's a lot of those beats in this movie. It feels like they're trying to hit all the iconic parts of the old movie, and they're trying to just move on to the next scene and trying to like flex their technology for this film. And while it's a cool thing, like I said before, while it's a cool thing to look at, it needs to kind of be revamped in a way that makes the story more interesting, adds more pieces of dialogue that actually add to the story. And this doesn't do that. What it does is it just makes things pretty. And I've said that so many times, but I just feel like this was kind of a missed opportunity, and I don't even think that this should have been made, and I still hold to that belief. When I look at this movie, I can't help but feel just a little bit disappointed, a little bit sad, a little bit discouraged that we are needing to revamp these old classic movies instead of creating more new classics for the next generation. And it's just kind of like this fantasy that people have in their heads of like, man, I wish I could play this game again but with better graphics, or man, I wish I could see this movie again but with updated CGI. That would be so cool. And it's a cool idea, it's a cool thought, but do you really want to see that happen? I mean, I can't argue for people who are excited to see Final Fantasy VII revamp, because that's pretty cool, And I hear they're adding some new things and new elements to the game to improve upon it. So that's the thing. If you are going to reintroduce something and you're going to redo it and remake it, make it something that feels new. And this didn't do that. What this movie did was it just made things look sharper, clearer. It made I was gonna say actors. It made the animals look super realistic. And that's another fault that this movie has, is that the characters in this movie cannot emote because they're lions, they're birds, they're hyenas. You can't, if you make something emote like a human does, then it starts to veer into the uncanny valley territory. And that's the thing, it's just, you have to kind of ride that line to kind of figure out, how do I make an animal emote? But the thing about the Jungle Book movie, and I know I'm kind of going off on a tangent because I have a lot of coffee in me, but the Jungle Book movie had a human character so that we could kind of see that emotion through that human character and his interaction with these animals that could talk. And so the animals didn't necessarily need to emote, it was mostly based on the kid's performance. But this movie has none of that. You don't have any human characters, you don't have that connection that you can make with these guys. So when Simba is crying and when Simba is sad, when Simba's mad, you really have nothing right up here. It's just, if you cut out or crop a frame from The Lion King throughout the movie of Simba's face or any of the other characters' faces, this is going to be pretty much the same throughout the entire movie. And a lot of human emotion is portrayed right up here in this little strip of her face. And yes, I know, Asians probably don't have it the best because we have limited vision. Just kidding, that's a perpetuating stereotype, and that is not true. We can actually see very clearly. The movie kind of focuses right down here where the emotion is, but the thing is, you can only do so much with your mouth. You can only do so much with your mouth in terms of emotion, and that goes for like a lot of the performances. I think there's an excerpt from Chris Evans who portrays Captain America.
You can't see your eyebrows. And I tell you what, you really need your eyebrows, because you could be making this face and you put the cat and you just look like you're doing this. You just look so neutral. You have to like kind of get angry with the actual shape of your eyeballs, and it's really challenging to express in that thing.
And all the Batman actors have kind of complained how they have to have moments where you have to take off the hood or whatever, or you have to take off the cowl so that they can emote and show us that performance. Because there's only so much you can do right here. And that's kind of how I felt with The Lion King. I felt like I was watching mouth acting, and sure, the lines are coming out, and I recognize these lines from the classic movie, but I can't make that connection. I can't feel that joke. I can't feel that impact of what they're saying. I can't feel that emotion if I can't see any emotion in those characters. So that was probably the biggest thing about this movie. I think that if there was some way to add some emotion to these characters and add some weight, and also kind of lengthen that empty space between some of the lines so that you can actually feel the weight of what they're saying, I think the movie would have improved, and I would have been like, this is a really cool update of a classic movie. But that's all it would be. It would just be a new skin, basically, of a already classic movie, because this movie does not take any inspiration of its own. It doesn't do anything really new. It just adds a little bit of time to that last fight scene between Simba and Scar, which I was like, this isn't Avengers Endgame. I don't know why we need to be waiting and watching all these hyenas and lions fight for so long. I can't see what's happening. I don't know what's going on. I don't really care about this. I just kind of want to see that confrontation between Simba and Scar. Can we just get to that? So little things like that, little gripes that I have. And I probably sound like a butthurt Disney fan right now, but I'm not. This movie is perfectly fine. It's a good movie because it's literally The Lion King, but done a little bit worse, but looks prettier, I guess. The lavish dance and choreography sequences that you can do with animation, it's just so much more immersive, because when you have something that's so grounded in reality, there's limitations to what you can do, the limitations of what you can stretch reality to do to look as fun and as vibrant as an animated film. And so they kind of did that with Hakuna Matata, and they kind of did that with some of the old classic songs in the movie. But yeah, overall, Lion King, man, it's a mixed bag for myself. And I guess to touch on that comment I made about Donald Glover is perfectly fine. He actually sounds really great as Simba in his talking voice. It's just when you put him up against Beyonce, and this is no knock on Donald Glover, I think he's an amazing singer. And just an amazing actor and songwriter and dancer even. He can do it all. He can literally not do nothing. It's terrible English. But when you put him up against Beyonce, the vocal talent for myself was just an issue in terms of kind of that gap. But that's not a knock on Donald Glover. It's just Beyonce's just that good. So I felt like there was some kind of weird riffs that some of the voice actors would take in terms of the singing riffs that they would go on. They would just, it sounded like they're trying to out-sing each other instead of kind of collaborate with each other. And I think that was a part of how they recorded this movie. A lot of these actors that came in, or voice actors that came in, didn't record together. So the lines of dialogue and the singing and the duets, they didn't really feel cohesive. It felt like two people were recording separately in studios, and it felt like two people were trying to out-sing each other. And so there was just kind of a lot of conflict in how the singing was portrayed in this movie. So that kind of took it out for myself. So I don't know if you guys felt that, and that's probably a weird nitpick that I have. And I'm not even like a singer or anything. I don't know anything about that, but for some reason it just felt a little bit off. I don't know what you guys thought. I know my girlfriend loved it, but you know, she loves everything that's Disney. Not a knock on her. If I were to give this movie a rating, I'd probably give it, man, like a 7 out of 10. To be honest, a 7 out of 10. It's just wasn't that appealing to me. I love the original so much. I feel like this movie didn't do as much to make it its own movie. And I feel like the updates in technology for this movie kind of worked against it in a lot of the features of the characters' faces. And it's cool. It's great visually to see. You should definitely go see it in Dolby Digital or IMAX if you can, so you can see those deep colors and those nice saturated colors in the Serengeti and whatever. But yeah, man, just watch it once and let me know what you guys think. But I will not go see it again in theaters. So yeah, guys, that's my review of The Lion King. So yeah. Let's look forward to 40 more Disney classic remakes. That's sad. Anyways, guys, like I said, the Hero's Journal is linked below. I was not asked to sponsor it or plug it. I just think it's a really cool product that you guys should look into. So, guys, like always, I will see you later.